Yo, this is Asheville, North Carolina. The French Broad is literally just down there. If you're watching this, you've probably seen lots of pretty insane pictures and videos. Hi, I'm Nicole. This is me doing another ad hoc podcast. This might be how I go. I have a few batched because I like to batch process, but none of them feel really relevant at the moment. Like my next one, I think was going to be about careers and like a career in the 21st century. And this is exactly why it all feels pretty ridiculous. And I've been thinking a lot about success and progress and 21st century business and what it means to try and build and lead in a world that just can't quite seem to like pick a direction, right? And I actually have some notes because the old brainy ain't worky. Uh, and I need to acknowledge that like out the gate last week I got it all wrong. Like I think I was talking about November. The hurricane was in September. It is now October. Days and weeks and time don't really matter. When yeah, it's just wild. It's like I've noticed some light rage popping up when I kind of like get out into the world. I did a big supply run last week, thanks to a bunch of you who donated. Tons of people are asking me how you can help and what you can do. And I don't know. Like, I honestly don't. It's such an overwhelming effort that's needed. And so I posted my Venmo and people gave money. And so I bought a bunch of cold weather stuff just because it's cold now. And people don't have homes or electricity or running water. And that makes it's like camping all of the time forever. So thank you for that. I'm kind of going ham on the social medias with all of the different ways you can continue to support. Quite honestly, there's a ton of local organizations that have just stepped the fuck up and they've just halted all for profit business and have used their spaces to become distribution centers. So a ton of people are driving in and dropping off supplies, which is great. Keep driving. Don't be taking pictures of people's homes and livelihoods that are destroyed. That also is inducing rage and breakdowns. So a little bit of that. As soon as I got back online, and I am recording this outside because the internet is still incredibly um, intermittent, shall we say. So it took ages to even just get last week's up and out. So I'm trying to record this to my actual podcasting platform so that it uploads there over the next 24 hours or however long it'll take. So anywho, getting back on social media and seeing not just the devastation, but how people are using that to really leverage their content has been something. And then hearing some of the stories that just they're from such a very specific agenda. And I don't know that those individuals understand the repercussions of their stories. And we've seen that, some of the government support that's come in has had to significantly alter the way it would serve because literally less than a handful of people have tried to put forward their own agendas. And it's not great. It's not helpful. You know how I know? Because help would be picking up a shovel and scooping up the mud. That's like quite honestly the most helpful thing you can do right now. After that, standing in a parking lot for 8 hours and organizing supplies or running water containers to put non-potable water and filling it up, or helping those who can't access the services they need. You're going to hear chainsaws and helicopters in the background, sorry. Be able to do basic things like flush their toilets or get outside. Like that's how you help. You don't actually help by making videos for the internet. So yeah, on that note, I've turned all of my accounts to private. This feels like a very private time for me. It feels like a pretty hard reset. I love what I do. I love the people that I work with now. A few of you who aren't watching are no longer working with me. That's totally fine. I provide a business service. I wasn't available. Bye. But yeah, I'm not sure what happens next, and that's what this episode is going to be about. I think recently I did an episode called, or really kind of debating the difference between courage and bravery, right? Bravery being like, I am strong and I can do this, and courage being like, I'm scared shitless and I'm doing it anyway. Resilience is an interesting term as well. I think courage and resilience share the situation that you don't really have a choice. Like, you don't have a choice to get up every day and put your pants on like everybody else and then make gold records. I've been watching a lot of Saturday Night Live. Like, laughs are so important right now. Anywho, and like some days I get up out of bed and I show up at a place and I shovel mud for 8 hours. And then some days like today, I lay in bed much longer than intended and give myself permission to just do my best, even if that means I'll be laying in bed all day. So that was my first point. Good job, VC. It's been really rough. I might even start crying talking about it. I try not to like tap too into the emotions because they are just right there. And so I think it's 3 weeks tomorrow. For me, that all of this started. The hurricane was the 27th, but it was the 25th when I like didn't sleep. And oh fuck, there's a really great quote that somebody shared with me. I was hyper concerned about the people on my property because, and I talked about this last week, if you sneeze, it loses power, which means it will eventually lose water. And the cortisol's just pumping, and it doesn't matter how many runs you go for, it doesn't matter how many mindfulness practices you engage in. Being here in this present moment is completely and totally overwhelming. Hope is the choice to bring in the minimalist amount of action of I don't even know. Like, what I'm trying to say is that at every moment I can look around and just feel completely overwhelmed. And also I can then choose to focus on the fact that fall is the most stunning time of year to be here. And it is absolutely fucking gorgeous. And these mountains, like I've said it every single day, multiple times a day since I got here. It is one of the most beautiful places I've gotten to visit in the world and live in. And I've gotten to go a lot of different places. So I was talking with one of my friends who is a native, born and raised, and he, like everybody else, is really kind of struggling to understand what's happening. And I said, man, like I've been lucky enough to grow familiar with these mountains. You've grown up with these mountains and they're forever changed. We're all going through grief. And I actually had my first talk therapy appointment last week and was reminded why I find talk therapy so annoying. And it was helpful. Um, Very familiar with the stages of grief. The interesting point is each of us here right now, and probably anybody watching, is also in a stage of grief, but we might be in different stages. And as we all know now, it's not a linear process. When this theory was originally presented, it was presented like first you're in denial, then you're in rage, then you're in depression. Now we recognize we're kind of bopping between all of them and back and forth. But that, as an adult, with responsibilities, and thank the gods I don't have a family or children, although it would give me a very different perspective and different purpose, right? I'm going to circle back to purpose. But I have clients, I have tenants, I have my own relationships, my own career, my own home, and try to juggle all of that while just like getting water and food and feeling guilty that I have a home and electricity now. It's the world definitely keeps spinning. And in the first 10 days, I was really not okay. I had the wherewithal to recognize that and to let people know that and to explain to people I do not have the capacity. It's why some of my clients were like, bye-bye, which is fair. Again, no drama with that. Let me mean it. Um, the people that I did get to work with last week, I prefaced every session with, hey, we all know what's happening. Let's not go there. If this doesn't feel valuable to you, you have every right and my full permission to let me know. I am certainly open to feedback. And like, this is an experiment. If you've worked with me at all, everything I do is an experiment. We'll see. And they were fire fucking sessions. I'm really good at what I do. But like, can I hustle and get more clients and fill that gap, that like 5-figure gap in monthly income right now? I can't even begin to imagine that, which is why I'm just going to go private for a little while and just give myself permission to take a knee. Side eye. indulged the thoughts and feelings of those first 10 days, I would have burnt it all down. I would have said things that I've regretted or would have regretted. I would have told some people some things about themselves they didn't already know. I've had some very random personal crises pop up as well in family and relationships, which seemingly unrelated, not great timing. And had I not just simply said, I don't really have the capacity for this right now, my interpretation of this situation is off. I'm not sure what I would be dealing with in this moment. And so, what I really wanted this episode to be for you as a takeaway is just recognize not all of your thoughts and feelings are real. They are not facts. Uh, that applies to others as well. And I think most of the conflict we experience in this world is we forget that. And in moments of really big feelings, lots of level 1 and 2, if you know what I'm talking about, we other, we ultimatum, we fight not to lose. And that will leave you in a catastrophic space. And I noticed the tendency to want to tell my story more tragic than it really was. My initial thought was everything is destroyed. I recognize now I am lucky. I've had some I'd say about 20% is destroyed, but the other 80% is going to be okay. And what I do with that is up to me. I might destroy it. Okay, sure. That's my choice. I am noticing my codependent relationship with money, the white knuckling of security, uncertainty. And so that's the other thing I kind of wanted to move into is I talk a lot about creating certainty in the uncertainty. I don't know how to do that right now. And I think that's been, the biggest takeaway for me coming into the end of week 3. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I am typically the person with answers. I always have an answer, strong and wrong. I came up with a new one. It takes balls to make calls. I always have an answer. I'm not saying it's the right answer. I'm not saying it's the best answer, but I have an answer. And I find that to be like a really healthy place to kind of volley back and forth. And as you'll hear me say, riff on. In this experience, it's really just been me. So I haven't had anybody to riff with. Everybody else has been really busy trying to take care of their own shit and or just not and leaving, which is a whole nother thing that I'm just trying to stay hopeful around. In that, I don't know, the like peace and calm that everybody talks about and surrendering, releasing attachment, letting go. I get it. I've been working on this one probably for like a year and a half, and it's like finally locked in. I actually just like don't give a fuck anymore. And I think anybody who knows me would have thought like that year that like that book about zero fucks came out, I think like 7 people gave it to me for Christmas. Even though I don't do Christmas presents, just because I am like the poster child for like zero fucks. But there's a new level now. And like my ambition, my vision, like that's just gone. And not in a bad way. I don't know. I don't know what happens next. People keep asking me, what's the plan? What's gonna happen? I don't know. I don't know. So that's why I'm going private. I think I'm just gonna be sharing like the loop has been, kind of my real personal musings. That might be what this podcast is. I'm still doing a bunch of research. I've always trusted that book's going to emerge exactly the way, like the real purpose in it, and the point I'm trying to make will materialize. So I am very much trying to be as honest as I can be in the moment. If I catch myself telling a story that's a little hyperbolic to keep it interesting, I stop. I correct myself. If I find myself in judgment or angry, I ask myself, what are you angry about? How are you judging yourself? There's been a lot of that coming up, and it's not easy. I was at an okay. There was an elderly person home that I wanted to help volunteer at for my mom, and there are elders were there helping. And everybody wanted to keep telling their story about how much destruction they'd endured and what had happened to them and how, all their different struggles. And someone asked me, so Nicole, like, how bad was it for you? And I was like, you know what? I think I'm done telling that story because I noticed it wasn't helping anymore. And not that there's anything wrong with it. And I understand that people are still going to need to be expressing that and sharing that. And most of the time, I hope to have the space for that. I just didn't in that moment. And that was also just like a healthy realization. Um, I don't think it's going to help me to tell that story anymore. I told it on that last podcast, and I think that's why I did that. I can just point people to it. Um, but I am one of the lucky ones. And I don't say that to like diminish or placate my own experience, but it just doesn't feel useful anymore. And last week, I didn't know how to trust myself. There's a part of this whole reality creation, visionary leadership that also suggests everything you're living in this moment is a result of the choices and decisions you've made in the past. And I believe all of that. So then you have to go, okay, well, what did I do? And I was talking with a new friend and saying, I think there's patterns and there's purpose. Some of us are just simply repeating what we find familiar and what we know because that feels like certainty. Others of us are discovering the work that wakes us up in the morning, and that's purpose. So, where am I repeating patterns? Where am I in a place of like true curiosity and learning? And I think that's how trust is built. I mean, I've talked a ton about that, right? Especially in decision making. So by leaning into each moment and giving myself permission to go, this is okay, this is not okay anymore. I'm going to stop. Or I might even need to redact it, or I might need to course correct. Like that has absolutely helped me feel like if I need to sleep, I'm going to sleep. Um, if I'm want to make microwave nachos with crackers, government cheese, I'm going to do that. Um, if it's a run day and I don't go for a run, that might be in my best interest. And that that to me feels like potentially what resilience truly is. I had another rage moment because I'm just like really struggling with what do you post online, and if like online is my marketing machine and I don't even know what to say, like how am I going to keep things going? And I don't have answers to that. I don't know. But all these fucking white tech bros behind their computers talking about getting punched in the face all day, asking for gajillions of dollars and calling that grit. Pull a fucking tree out of your roof and keep business going while all of your staff are still unaccounted for alongside their families. Let's talk about grit, my friend. So resilience is allowing the process. And that's one of the things I was kind of raging at the therapist about. I was like, all I am here for is to know how long it's going to take for me to process this trauma. Thanks. And thankfully, they do what talk therapy does, which is validate, and acknowledge where I'm at and let me know that my experience is real, my feelings are real, and, it's going to take as long as it takes. And just being okay with that, or I don't know. I don't know that okay, just letting it happen, letting go. I don't give a fuck. That's that's resilience. Is it showing up and doing it anyway, especially when it doesn't look the way you want it to, especially when it feels like everything is crumbling around you, especially when you literally don't know how it's going to work by the end of the day, let alone the next day. So, um, I think I've redefined resilience, and we're all doing it. Like we are all resilient. Um, your truth exists in each moment, and it might be different than the moment before. It might be wildly fucking different. And what I now know, I'm discovering in this actual moment, is that doesn't make you a hypocrite. That's the lesson. This is how you grow stronger. And quite frankly, this is evolution. Evolution negates consistency. It is change. And not everything will survive it. And I don't mean you, I mean parts of you. Thoughts you've had, feelings you've experienced, assumptions you've made, judgments you've had, opinions. facts, the stories you've told, right? That's trust. Trust is giving yourself permission to just be who you are right now and give yourself what you need right now. And the last week of really tuning into my truth and what I need, despite what everybody's telling me, has helped me find that trust again. And it looks very different than it did even 2 weeks ago, let alone a month ago. And that said, it feels so much more like, I hate to say like embodied or anchored because these are such like amorphic terms, but it just feels real in a way that I think it was a more intellectual concept before, and now it's just a feeling that I get. So it is out with the old and in with the new paradigms. Like my whole world has changed. Yours probably hasn't. That's okay. I did notice like sometimes you get on social and people are just like selling you their fucking hair product or taking pictures of them and their family at some like pumpkin thing. And it's just like, how are you doing that? How are you so fucking tone deaf? And let me acknowledge this level of experience, no electricity, no water, no internet. That has been some people's entire experience for the last year, last 3 years, entire lives. So I'm definitely bitching about this and observing this from a place of intense privilege. Get it and also could never understand, right? So I think radical responsibility is a term that was thrown around, I think, a lot in like I don't know, the last few years. But what that means is like anything is possible when you choose to make it so. And that doesn't just mean good stuff. I interpret that as it's good stuff. Anything is possible can also mean atrocious, horrible, life ending, let alone life changing happenstance. And resilience is being with that and doing the dang thing anyway. So that's what I got. It's another short one. If you want to help, hopefully you already follow me on Instagram because I'm sharing endless opportunities. Please stop asking me. Just fucking engage with my content. Um, that's all I got. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna send out a loop this week. I don't know what it's gonna be about yet. I am gonna try and make these things different though. And I'm gonna go get my well water certified, tested. I'm gonna drop off more supplies at Beloved, volunteer at Beloved, then hopefully go for a run this evening because didn't do that yesterday, but yesterday my body was so manual labor is like hard. More privilege coming at ya. But it feels good. I don't know. I've always been aware that like I like taking action, but it's been really good actually getting out there and just helping complete strangers. And it's been interesting. Like, yeah, anyhow, I'm done. Thank you for being here. I love you. Bye.